These past 2 months were absolutely crazy. So, if you saw the show last night where I jumped on with some of my friends and we were talking about our competition experience, I reviewed my two fights from this past week at the IBJJF Pan American Championships of 2025. And I just wanted to now give a little talk, a recap about how these past 2 months were getting prepared for it, where it was a lot of work, right? And when I say a lot of work, it's not the type of work where I'm like, okay, I'm just training for competition like every single time. No, I had to also get prepared in the sense of, all right, the weight class that I'm competing, I had to drop a lot of weight in order to get there. And and it was hard work, right? It was hard work. And on my end, the part that I'm disappointed in is that I let myself get so far away from the always being ready, like in a range of easily adapting, easily slimming down to where I need to be, to just with whatever the stresses of life were, letting that get to me, and now I have to do so much more work and preparation just to get to where I am supposed to be. And I think that it is a problem that a lot of people, even the people that I train with, that we were all getting ready together, helping each other out. But the fact that me especially, was not prepared for that part, like on a consistent basis, like always staying ready. So when you're not always ready, you have to get ready. And in that process of getting ready, you lose valuable time, momentum, focus, and effort. All right, so that's what I want to talk about today. Welcome to the episode of Candid Conversations, hosted by your shitty tech coach, Ralph, where we're engineered to win. So we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be using this the past 2 months, getting ready for about 10 minutes work. So I can't even count the amount of hours. Let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 2.5 months, right? At night for 2 hours a night. And then the mornings on Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday for another hour and a half, training, getting ready for competition, but also in the process of dropping a lot of weight to make weight, because in these competitions, there's weight classes, there's age divisions, stuff like that. So also being having to prepare for all of that, and still keeping like my regular schedule of work and of streaming, creating content, coaching, everything like that. The world does not stop because of whatever personal things I sign up to do, whatever competition I sign up to do. I still have to keep the world turning, have a family, have a child, all of that stuff. So none of that stuff stops, right? So when you dig yourself into a hole of your cardio's not as good as it used to be, your weight is out of control, your weight, your overall preparation, it's not where it's supposed to be. Your focus isn't where it's supposed to be. So now when you know that something is coming up, now you have to lock in. But now where you're locking in from, it is a lot harder than if you were at least in range to quickly scale up or scale down, right? When we're and the reason I like to talk about this is because for me in my life, all of this stuff is connected. My martial arts, my jujitsu, my day to day work life, my coaching, all of that is connected. Where I see that they all relate to one another. So the strategies that I employ in jujitsu is the same strategies that I employ when I'm writing code. The same strategies that I employ when I'm coaching somebody. The same strategies when I'm testing something. And what happens is we might start to drift in one area to add more focus to another area. And then what is the thing with drifting, right? If you're going like even 0.5% off course over the long period of time, you see yourself way off the path that you were supposed to be on. And is it impossible to get back on course? No, it's definitely possible to get back on course, but guess what? The ride or the drive or the fly to get back in line of where you're supposed to be is so much harder. And guess what? All of us that who went to competition last week, we all ended up making our weight. We all ended up competing. But my question is, if we did not veer so far off course, if I didn't veer so far off course, would my results have been even better because I could have had a singular focus on, all right, we are focused on training, 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 and not having to worry about, oh, how are we going to cut weight today, and what are we going to eat today, and do we have to fast, and how much sauna do I have to, like, I was waking up at like 4 in the morning to get ready for the day, going to sleep, and then I still have things to do, so I end up going to sleep around midnight, 12:30 in the morning, just to do it over and over and over. And the thing is, right? The thing is that pressure continues to build up on how much you have to do, what do you have to do, how often you have to do it, and it's just like a cycle. And you there's certain points where you have to you need that. It's like a pressure cooker. You need to release the pressure, right? So you're releasing it in different spots. Like your performance is not the best that it could be just because it's so much that's going on. And my thing, and this is not the first time that it's happened. And I would love to say hopefully it's going to be the last time, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the last time either, right? But the problem, especially when you go so far off course and you don't catch yourself, you don't rein yourself back in, is that you lose focus. And focus is so important in whatever it is that you're doing. As I'm getting closer and closer to competition, I'm focused, right? I'm focused, but I'm still like, all right, well, we still need to do this and we still need to do that. And your thinking is like all over the place. And like, all right, where am I on the scale? Am I close to making weight? And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So, and I ended up making weight a bit like early, right? But then now that maintenance, now that you've lost so many pounds and your body isn't really accustomed to being at that weight level. So it's like as soon as you eat something, you go up by a few pounds, and now you're battling back and forth, battling back and forth, battling back and forth. So now you have a whole nother battle that you need to think on. You can't even concentrate as much as you should be on the task at hand. So my mindset is like, okay, well, we cannot get back to this spot again because we are sabotaging ourselves. And so many times, I know right now I'm talking about getting ready for competition and stuff like that, but we sabotage ourselves in every little thing that we do. And it's like we already have the excuses lined up on the reason that we sabotage ourselves, how we sabotage ourselves, how we're going to make up for it and stuff like that. And that's one of the worst things that we can do to ourselves is have our excuses lined up and how we're going to make up for our mistakes. It's instead of like we are always so close on the brink of victory. We're so close. And then we just let just a little something step in and mess us up. When you have that deadline in front of you, and a real deadline, because a deadline that you cannot control. For example, I couldn't control the date that this competition was on. So I had to be at weight. I had to be in a particular city. I had to be in the arena. I had to be checked in for to fight at a particular time. There was a set schedule, so it is outside of my control. But guess what? When we have these goals and we set them inside of our control, right? When we are the ones controlling our goals, we don't take those goals as seriously. We'll set dates and we just let the dates come and go. No, we just push it to next week. Just push it to next week. Just push it to next week. And that I want to say a lack of accountability, but I don't even think it's a lack of accountability. I think it's just that we don't take ourselves seriously. And that's really unfortunate because I'm in the same boat. I am in the same boat. I can say, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do this by this date, right? And many times it's happened where I'm like the date comes, oh, I'll just get it next week. I'll just get it next week. I just get it next week until there is a deadline that is set for me and I have no other choice. Now I've seen plenty of people who go to check in and weigh in for a competition after they've paid, $100 for the to compete. They've paid for flights, they've paid for travel, they've paid for hotels and stuff like that, and they get there and they are not at weight and they cannot compete. Sometimes they even get to the weigh-in and they say, oh, sorry, you're overweight, you are disqualified. There is no second chances. You can't weigh in again. You are done, disqualified. And it is a not I it is a lack of discipline. But I mean, they could have weighed in at a higher weight level and compete with heavier people, but they're like, oh no, I'm gonna make it, and then who knows why they don't make it, and for me, I'm like, all right, well, I've always made weight, but what did it cost me to make weight? Is it that it cost me? Well, I couldn't. Am I low? Am I low on energy during the fight? Am I able to not process thoughts and ideas? Or maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. Because during a fight, there is so much detail and pressure that's happening that if you are not 100% locked in on what you are doing, what your opponent doing, what the referee is doing, the amount of time that's left in the fight, the score of the fight, for me, I'm thinking all these things when I'm fighting, right? What's the score? Who has advantages? How much time? How much time is that? I'm listening to what my professor is telling me, and trying to process all these things. I'm listening to what my opponent's professor is telling them. And I know if they are good, which they must be at the level that we're at now, that they are listening to what my professor is telling me. So my professor is telling me, oh, do this. And now now if they can capitalize on what my professor is telling me before I get to capitalize on it, because my mind might not be moving as fast because who knows what reason. But guess what? At the end of the day, it is all my fault because I allowed myself to be put in a spot that I had to dig myself out of a hole. I put myself in this hole and I had to dig myself out. And now we're battling with fatigue and tiredness, or I guess fatigue is tiredness, but we're battling with fatigue, with a lack of some type of mental clarity, and this is we're fighting with this throughout the whole entire process. When you first start the process, you're motivated. Oh yeah, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Halfway through the process, like, oh yeah, it's getting rough. It's getting rough. Towards the end, towards the finishing line, and so many of us, I would say a good 99% of us, we can see the finish line. We can see the end in sight, and then we just go off course. I think maybe it is the turtle, the tortoise and the hare scenario, where we are sprinting towards the end and then we see the finish line in sight, and then we're like, oh, you know what? I can take a break. I can go and eat this thing. I can go and party instead of studying. I can go and do this or start working on this other project instead of finishing the task at hand. And now we start to veer off track. We start to slowly veer off track. And then when we start to come back, we start getting confused and we're not focused. And now the goal has come and went. And I just think that we need to be, and is it easy to do? No, it's not easy to do, but I think we need to be able to be more committed to ourselves, to keeping the goals that we set for ourselves, to implementing the strategies that'll help us achieve our goals. Because I'll tell you this, right? If I didn't have to lose about 20 pounds in the past 2 months, and let's say it was about a good 5 to 10 pounds, right? I could easily do that in about 2 weeks, right? Maybe a month. But I could do that. I could do that progressively and systematically, all within my day to day. I don't have to go through to any extremes and stuff like that. And just the amount of focus. And now I can actually focus on what's important and not what is urgent. See, a lot of times we focus on the urgency of stuff instead of the importancy of things. And when you dig yourself in such a deep hole, the urgency overtakes the importance, because guess what? As important as it is to train and focus and get better at your craft, what's more urgent is actually being allowed to make it to competition, or allowed to, like, I'll give you a work example, right? Because like I said, for me, all this stuff is connected. If you're trying to find a job, right? A lot of times we wait until we need a job to update our resumes, right? So we might be working and all of a sudden, oh, something happens, you become unhappy, you want to change jobs, or you get laid off or something like that. And it is at that point we start to update our resume. And now we have to try to think back of all the things that we did, and we need to, and our resume probably sucks already. So we're like, okay, how can I make it better? How can I show how can it just not be a checklist of all the things that I've done? And then you come to me and I'm like, okay, well, we need to revamp this whole entire resume and stuff like that. And then we get the resume done. We start applying. And now that we have a good resume, now we're getting interviews, but we never prepared for interviews, right? So we like, all right, well, now we have an interview coming up in 3 days. And now we need to turn on the jets and practice instead of when we could have been doing this for a very long time. Maybe every other week, and maybe once a month, we do interview prep. We refine the resume based on the things that you're doing, right? And that's the part that I'm talking about. Preparation is key. We should always be ready. We should always be prepared, so that we do not have to get prepared. And now we're so far off track that we're trying to veer back on, and it's hard. It is so much harder to get back on track when you've been going off track for such a long time. If you have a nice clean road ahead of you, right? You have a nice clean road ahead of you, but you start going off road, and some cars are meant for off roading, but guess what? No matter how much the car is meant for off roading, the ride is still bumpy, and it's a bumpy road going off, and there's a bumpy road coming back onto the main road. Sometimes you have to create that own road yourself, because we've gone so far off track, there is no road. And we have to create it ourselves. And it's hard. That's why for me, like, my goal, which is going to be a very, very hard goal, but it is to stay within range, stay ready at any given moment. When you think about our military folks, let's say our Navy SEALs, for instance, right? They're always training. They're always ready, because they never know when they're going to get called up on. Oh, we have a mission here. We have a mission there. We need to take care of this. You need to take care of that. And they just have to go, right? Like our Navy SEALs, for example. And they just have to go. So they always have to stay ready at the drop of a dime. And the good part for us civilians, right, is that we kind of know when we have something coming up. But we like to wait and procrastinate. One of the most dangerous words in the world is procrastinate. We like to wait and procrastinate till the last minute, till we have signed on the dotted line, and now we get to work, instead of always working towards a goal. And when that time comes, we're just ready to go. I think that, like, honestly, for me, I wish that when I signed up for competition back in might have been like December, maybe end of November, December, that I was ready to go. I wish I could have been to the point where when I signed up, it wasn't, oh, well, we have a lot of training to do. We have to lose 20 pounds. We need to do this. I wish it was that, oh, I'm signed up. I can go compete tomorrow if I needed to. For me, that's how in my mind it should work. But in my heart and physically, it never ends up that way because once when I sign up, it's like, okay, now the crew, the team, it's time for us to get to work. Instead of when I'm signing up, I'm like, I can go right now. Ain't a big deal for me. And I'll tell you, as I am recording this video right now, I am like I would not be able to compete at the weight class that I competed last week. But I'm not up 20 pounds. I'll tell you that, right? But I need to get back into, not even get back into, I need to have that focus, right? Of, not needing something in front of me to work, but to just have that focus and that work ethic. And I think that'll do a lot of us so much good that we don't need that. We don't need that thing that makes us work. We work so that we can be ready for when the thing arises. Because those deadlines that are set for us, they make us miserable. Because we have to, though people are afraid of deadlines. And I don't mind deadlines, but I would like to be ready for that deadline, so that I'm like, all right, you know what? Oh, we have a deadline by next week. Oh, well, guess what? I'm ready right now. I might just have to do a little tinkering here and there. I need to do a little bit of preparation, but I'm ready though. If you needed it tomorrow, it would be ready. If you needed it yesterday, it would be ready. Oh, you're giving me 2 weeks? Great. Now that I have these 2 weeks, I can make it even better. I'm ready now, but I can make it even better. Instead of, oh my God, I have such a daunting task ahead of me. How am I ever going to make it? I don't want to be in that position. And last year, for other reasons, last year was worse. This year was so much better than last year. And that I can see, because like last year, after last year, I was like, you know what? I don't even know if I want to do this, right? This year was so much better. I'm like, you know what? I'm ready again. Let's do it again. But I'm able to see, because last year I didn't look at I even look at the mistakes and stuff like that, how I felt, nothing. But this year I'm like, oh yeah, this was a great experience. Learned a lot, suffered a lot, but it was meaningful suffering. And having my team with me and being able to encourage and motivate each other, like, all right, we did it this year. Here's our game plan for our next competition and let's just go out there and get it. So and like I said, this sounds heavily Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu focused, but for me it applies to everything, right? When you see me on this channel learning DevOps, learning large language models and AI, learning about ethical hacking and stuff like that, I don't have in mind that I'm going to become an ethical hacker or a penetration tester. It would be nice. It would be nice to do penetration testing on the side, maybe make some extra money, maybe learn about these bug bounties and stuff like that. Maybe do some capture the flags. Who knows, right? But it's not like front of mind of like, oh, I'm going to become a penetration tester. Oh, I'm going to become a DevOps engineer. I like to learn things, and I'm saying, okay, how can I use this in whatever that I'm doing? How can I use this in coaching? How can I use this in my current work? Like, how can I incorporate DevOps in the QA process that I do? But I'm always learning. I'm always looking forward. I'm always growing, so that I am not left behind and left struggling for where I want to be. All right. So, anyways, those are my thoughts for today. Hopefully you found that helpful and useful. Just in a way, it's a bit of decompressing. In a way, it's a bit of reflecting. Doing a retrospective on the past 2 months, how it was to get ready for competition, especially when coming from a very, very far place of where I'm usually like a lot better in the preparation aspect, but this year, with taking on more, getting older, it was just it was tougher, but I was able to see that I can do anything, and I know that if I can do it, I know that you can do it if you really want to. That whatever you set your goals to, you can actually do it if you actually work towards it. I know it's possible, right? So yeah, I mean those are my thoughts. I just wanted to share that with you about my experience about and how I apply it to everything else. And my goal of moving forward is not to end up in that position again, to always stay ready, always stay within range to do whatever we need to do. All right. With that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. If you haven't done so already, do me a big favor. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification so you know every time we go live and drop new content, as well as go to techcoachrob.dev where you can sign up to work with me one-on-one, and I can help you implement some of my strategies that helps me be successful, helps me accomplish all these goals that I have set for myself. And we can go from there. That's techcoachrob.dev. You can sign up for a one-on-one coaching plan. You can sign up to get access to exclusive content where I share how me and my tech barbarians work. I share some mindset stuff, some strategy stuff, like how to use your calendar for maximum efficiency and all of that good stuff. And you can even join the Tech Coach Ralph Discord where we are learning things together. We are working on Python. We are collaborating with one another. Sometimes we might be talking about trading. Sometimes we might be talking about learning about crypto. Who knows what, just different things of different interests that we can level up together. Okay. But with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week and a wonderful, wonderful Monday. And we will be back at it again. This is Tech Coach Ralph. We are out.
They said I wouldn't make it, they laughed at my dream. Every move I made felt like swimming upstream. But yesterday I met a fan, eyes full of belief. In their gaze I saw the end to my grief.
Doubt didn't win, trust began. Looked in the mirror, saw my biggest fan. Heart beats like a drum, fight through the span. Kept on pushing, now I'm the man.
Folks called it trash, said I'd never thrive. Every word I spat, cut deep like a knife. Thought my wings were clipped, stuck in a dive. But mirrors don't lie, I saw myself alive. I put in all the hours, climbed out from the dirt. They dissed and dismissed, said I'd always get hurt. Met a fan so loyal, reflections don't lie. My biggest supporter is just me in my mind.
Through the noise and shadows I held my ground. Bumps, bruises, broken, no comfort found. But that fan smile turned my world around. Now I'm rising sky high above the sound.
Doubt didn't win and trust I began. When I looked in the mirror, saw my biggest fan. Heart beats like a drum, fight through the span. Kept on pushing, now I'm the man.
From the ashes I flew, they can't dim my flame. Every mocking voice only fed my aim. Yesterday showed me it's not just a game. Cause in my reflection I found my name.
Folks called it trash, said I'd never thrive. Every word I spat, cut deep like a knife. Thought my wings were clipped, stuck in a dive. But mirrors don't lie, I'm the man.
From the ashes I flew, they can't dim my flame. Every mocking voice only fed my aim. Yesterday showed me it's not just a game. Cause in my reflection I found my name.
Folks called it trash, said I'd never thrive. Every word I spat, cut deep like a knife. Thought my wings were clipped, stuck in a dive. But mirrors don't lie, I'm the man.